Hello, my friends, and welcome to Soul Channel, a place to gather, raise consciousness, normalize spirituality, and change the world. Today, we have an incredibly special guest, Micheline Green, who I met, over a year ago, Micheline. Can you believe that? And there was an immediate connection. And she brings a wisdom that I'm excited to share with you. My name is Teresa Warnstaff. I'm a high-level intuitive and a channel. I created Soul Channel to bring the wisdom of many, the wisdom of individuals from all over the world to you, so that you can hear what you need to grow and thrive. Live your best life and be your best self. And for today, we're going to start off with a brief meditation to bring us present and to gather our energies so that we are open to receive not only the wisdom Micheline shares, but the energy behind the heart-centered message that she's going to share with you. If you can, gently close your eyes or lower your gaze as is most comfortable for you. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth as we ground into this present moment. Feel your feet on the floor as you anchor into your physical body and become present in this moment. And with your feet on the floor, feel the energy of the earth as she holds you, as she supports your human body, your human existence. Feel how she is the conduit to all that is in the physical world. Bring your awareness up your legs, knees, hips, into your abdomen. Maintaining the cadence of breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Move into your heart, throat, down the arms and into the hands, and into your head, where your crown chakra opens and connects more deeply with your soul self and with the universe, God, source. For as you are a human being, too you are a soul having a human experience. And as we anchor into this present moment, bringing great awareness to the human soul connection, we give thanks for this opportunity to expand our awareness, to learn, to grow, and gather in circle, gather in community, and support the evolution of each other as it contributes to the evolution of the world. And so it is. And when you are ready, my friends, gently open your eyes and come present to this moment. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. Let me tell you a little bit about Micheline because she's pretty impressive. Micheline has been an integral master coach for over 13 years. And before that, she was deeply involved in counseling. She's coached clients in 28 countries on 7 continents across all walks of life. She is the senior faculty at Integral Coaching Canada, where she trains new coaches in the integral coaching methodology. She has thousands of hours of teaching courses, facilitating groups, and creating customized integral coaching programs. She meets her clients exactly where they're at with a fierce love that honors their deep inner knowing, sharpens their resilience to face their inner challenges, and access their unwavering courage to live their lives with passion and purpose. She has a deep calling through a profound moment of deep spiritual clarity. It has been consistent, steady drumbeat on her path of passion and purpose. Living through the many hard knocks of life, she continues to stay true to her calling by synthesizing and offering profound teachings to women leaders who are also mothers. This is done in a straightforward, powerful, inspiring, and grounded way. Micheline, thank you for being here and welcome. And we talked a little bit this morning as we work through our technical opportunities as they show up, right?
Always.
And I absolutely love what you shared with me, and I want to honor it. The plan isn't the plan. Micheline has something that she's felt deep within her that she wants to share today, in addition to what we had planned. So I'm going to hand over the floor and let her share from her brilliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to see some familiar faces, some good friends here, people I've known for quite some time. So that's really lovely to see you all. So with all these interviews or podcasts or whatnot, we're trying to figure out, what is it we want to present and what do we want to share. And this morning I woke up and I said, you know what, I need to just talk about what's going on kind of in my own personal life, but also in our world, and in the clients that are coming to me. It's this epidemic of anxiety, pretty much, is what it feels so important to talk about this morning. So I have 3 children, a 28-year-old son, a 26-year-old daughter, and a 23-year-old daughter. And this week, my 23-year-old has been going through a lot of anxiety. So there's been many, many phone calls and many, many conversations and late nights and, talking through. And I don't want to focus on her story because that's her story. But really it's about me as the mother. And how do I hold that space with her and for her? And holding space, I do this all the time with my many, many clients. The mothers that I work with, they themselves are sometimes incapacitated by anxiety, other times just energy systems running so hard and so fast that the energy is what is. The energy is the anxiety that they're not even aware of, which is driving them. And so this past week, as I've been holding space for my daughter and with my daughter, I'm hearing a lot of what I'm saying, which is very similar to what I would share with my clients, but it's coming from a deep knowing of who my daughter is. Like, I know who my daughter is. I know the capacities that she has within her. It is like this deep, deep tap root, like down to the core of the earth. I know who my daughter is. And when I hold that space and remind her of who she is, that anxiety is just a part of who she is. It's not all of her. It's not the whole picture of who she is. It's just in this moment, that part of her, which is the anxiety, is what's taking over. And so what I remind her is you're not broken. There's nothing wrong here. And this is what happens with anxiety is once we are gripped by anxiety, then the mind starts making meaning of what it is to have anxiety. I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm broken, I can't get out of this. This is the meaning that the mind makes. And so this constant, like just this steady, like in my bio, the steady drumbeat of there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong in this moment. And just remembering that and holding that that memory of who she is. And so as I hold this space with her and for her, and reminding her that anxiety, there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing to get rid of, right? Because that tends to be the first thing is like, with most people, it's like there's something wrong with me, there's something broken with me, I can't control this, I can't get back to some sense of control. And the first thought is, okay, I have to get something outside of me to help me. I have to look to medication, I have to look to doctors, I have to get to a hospital, I have to. And there was a point where it was like, she was thinking, it's getting worse, it's getting worse. And I just remind her there's nothing here to get rid of. This is a part of her. Anxiety is a part of all of us, really. We all have a brain that is pattern seeking. We all have a brain that is anticipatory. It's anticipating what might come next. That is the beauty of our brains. And we don't need to get rid of anything. There's actually a relaxation into what is happening in the moment, into an acceptance. So acceptance is always the 0 point of transformation. Once we can move into that place of acceptance of what is happening in the moment, there's that moment of relaxation of just even the slightest of bit. Now, I'm not saying this is something that's easy when you are gripped by a panic attack or when you are gripped by anxiety. We all need that loving, supportive person who is that rock in that moment to help us with that, whether that is a mother, whether that is a friend, whether that is a coach or a counselor. So I'm not making light of this at all. It is gripping. So what I wanted to do now is kind of just take this back and go back into the patterns that have led to this point. And my daughter and I have talked about this quite openly, but what we didn't know 30 years ago or 23 years ago when she was in my womb was I was going through an intensely anxiety provoking time. So I had two children already. I had a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old. And at that time, um, I had left for a weekend and I came back. I was 3 months pregnant. And when I came back, I had found out that my husband at the time had been with another woman that weekend. And that pulled the rug, the foundation out from underneath me as a mother as a woman, as a caregiver for not only two babies, but the third one that's inside of me. And it just dropped me deeply down into survival mode. And so there was a lot of things that happened at the time, but mainly it was I had to get away from him. I had to leave. I had to go to my parents, which they lived all the way across the other side of the country. I lived with my parents for a few months. But the anxiety that I felt that took me back into that survival mode was what my daughter was baked in. She marinated in that anxiety as a little fetus. And so that's a part of her story. And that is a part of her. It's a part of me. And so as I go back now, like, that foundation that got dropped out from underneath me, that the survival mode that was kicked on in that moment, I got to go back even further. And so I go back even further into when I was 7 years old. I was one of five kids. So there was a son and then four daughters, and I was the fourth child out of five. And we had a babysitter, and this babysitter was male, and he abused me sexually. And I've always struggled with the word sexual abuse, because it in the spectrum of abuse, it was not violent. It was not, the way you immediately think of abuse, but it's the abuse of power. He was in a position of power, and he abused that power, and he abused my parents' trust in him, and these sorts of things. So I've had to come to terms to actually name it as sexual abuse. And so obviously that took the foundation out from underneath me at a very young age. And as a young child, unable to even begin to understand what was going on inside of me. The fear, the excitement, um, the, um, the pain, the anxiety, the shame, the guilt, all of these things that are moving through this little tiny person, right? And how to make sense of it all. And the very clear memory I have is and it's almost like there was a removal, like I can see it from looking down of the memory, is his finger in my face saying, "Don't you ever tell anybody about this." And so I didn't. For 30 years, I held on to that. So of course, as a little 7, 8 year old, again, the age isn't, I think it's 7 or 8, holding on to that and moving through life now with all of this inner life, this turmoil, this turbulence, just not knowing what to do with it all. Of course, as children, we act it out. We don't talk about it, we act it out. So I acted out in all these ways, all these ways. I fought with my siblings. I beat up kids at school. I bullied. I was a big bully as a kid at that age, 9, 10, 11. I bullied other kids in my class. So all of these ways that this behavior was being acted out. And so it wasn't until like I ran away from home at the first time at 13. And then at 16, I left home on my own. And just I think the belief just got so deeply embedded in me that it was like, okay, I've got to do this on my own. I'm fully on my own here. I'm a totally independent. I got to figure this out. And I mustered kind of that true independent strength. I'm going to figure this out. Survival mode. Yeah. So this is the survival mode that just kicked in. And so, again, so we're talking like 8, this happened, 16, I leave home, total survival mode. 24, so one thing that kept me truly, truly grounded was my love of sport. As a youngster, I truly was excelled at all the sports, and I really got a lot of sense of who I am and a place where I was good. I was good at sport. School, I struggled in terribly. So I played a lot of sport. And even at 16, after I left home, there was periods there where I was homeless. But at 19, I was playing rugby for the Canadian women's team. And at 21, I kicked off the very first Women's Rugby World Cup in Cardiff, Wales. And so that's like a highlight of course, my life, to be able to move through all that and still be able to bring that fierce fire in my belly to something, and to bring it towards something and towards an achievement. But then at 24, I had a massive knee injury, and so I lost that foundation again. That foundation was gone. I wasn't, again. So again, I just want to highlight this again, like 8, 16, 24. Do you see the pattern? Okay, this pattern moves through our lives, and this is anthroposophy. This is biographical counseling. This is one of the first things I studied. Anthroposophy is the spiritual science of man, and it comes from Rudolf Steiner's work. He is the founder of Waldorf schools and biodynamic farming and Camp Hill societies. This is all Rudolf Steiner's work. And so biographical counseling, we look at these patterns across our lives and we can start seeing how they line up, and they tend to line up in 7-year cycles. So here I'm at 24, another moment where I've lost the foundation, back into survival mode. Now I'm at 30 years old and I'm pregnant with my daughter. And, now my husband's had an affair, again, survival mode. And then again at 40, when we finally went through a divorce because there was another affair. And so this cycle continues to move through. So I have been aware, and I've been, keeping track of this pattern, because within my fierce independence and survival and must figure this out, I've had to figure out me. I've had to figure out this inner life that started when I was so young, this uncertainty. And it still brings up emotion for sure, because the emotion that rises in me is, here I am at 54, and believe me, I, understand this in such a deep way, and why the emotion arises and why I dedicate my life to parents is because to help parents help their children to connect with their inner life. That is why I am here on this earth. Because after college, I went into child protection. This is even before I was even able to admit that I was abused myself. I was now doing child protection, and I was doing an interviewing of, emotional, behavioral, and physical and sexual abuse. And then I moved into school counseling. And so I have this ability to be with children and to connect with them, to help them understand their inner life, and that nothing is wrong with them. It's not bad. It's not wrong. And it's a part of who they are. And that acceptance piece, and helping them come to this place of acceptance of who they are. Because much like my own daughter, much like myself, it is it is the intelligence of life moving through them and offering them their gifts through our personal struggles. This is what it is. This is what we're all up to. And so I want to now, like, working with these children for many years, and the ability to just be in that counseling role with them, I quickly realized it wasn't the children who actually needed my help. It was the parents, the adults that surrounded children, the teachers and the parents, who needed to understand that they have an inner life. And it's a vast, confusing, complex inner system that we have. And it's informed by our connection with the outside world, but most of us don't even realize that this inner life is there, and then to even begin to make sense of it. And so I made a switch out of counseling and into coaching because of the teachers that I was working with at that time, who were just didn't know what to do with these kids that had such extreme behaviors in their classroom. And they had this look in their eye of like, just fix this little kid. Like, and I remember going, okay, there's nothing wrong with this kid. And how could we possibly be blaming the children? Right? Like, come on. So this was like, just lit this fire in my belly to help the adults, to help the parents, to help the teachers. And so really, that's really about helping them to connect with their inner child, because their parents were not able to help them understand their big emotions. And we all on this call, and all of us, have a lot of really, really big emotions. In the first 7 years of life, so if we're looking at that biographical counseling, that 7-year cycle that we move through, it also matches to our development. And that first 7 years of life, we are simply emotional beings. We just emote. That is how we get our needs met, right? We cry to get our diapers changed. We cry to get fed. We cry to be cuddled, and then at 2 and 3 and 4, we're just learning how to use language, but it's our emotions that are driving us. In the next 7-year cycle, we're moving into the mental body. This is where the learning really takes place. So this is where kids are now asking why, and they want to understand the world, and why is the sky blue, and let's figure this out. And this is where we really start, kids are entering into the school. It's the 7 to 14, and it's the mental body that's really starting to be developed. And then at 14, again, the 7-year cycle, at 14, now the physical body really comes on. Those teenage boys that are all gangly and changing, and the young girls' bodies are changing, and now the hormones are coming on. And now it's really about how to be in this physical adult body. And so this process of the emotional and the mental and the physical, that's the process that we're all raised in. And if parents and teachers are not looking at these particular areas as ways of developing and helping children to be in that, then that development is not based on a foundation. There's not a foundational base. And so that's where we're like, the foundation drops out from underneath us, because now we have big emotions as adults. And if our parents didn't help us with our big emotions when we were young, we're off. We don't have a foundational base. And so when I'm working with clients, that process of the emotional, mental, and physical actually has to happen in the reverse. So when I start with clients, I start in the somatic, in the physical. That's where it begins, because our memories are in our physical body. And then we can move into the mental, and then we can get into the emotional body. And so the process from growing up then actually happens in reverse. So this process is, for me, as a fiercely independent who has had to feel like I've had to prove myself in life, to prove that I can make it, as someone who I've dove deep, deep, deep into my own development and my own practices to understand my inner life, to be able to find my own foundation within me. And so now working with women who are in big leadership positions or executive positions, they too have the same kind of drive to prove themselves and to make it, and to be fiercely independent and survivalists in a sense. And now I've got a little scratch in my voice. I'm going to just have a good cough here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I hope it's gone. And so now, as these executives that I'm working with, or women in big leadership positions, now they're having young kids. And the emotions of these young children are really hard for these mothers. And so these are the particular women that tend to come into my practice. Are they're high performance, they're high achieving, and now they have kids at home. And how can they help these young kids, but also their own children? But how do they be in a calm place? How can they leave that kind of controlling, performing, proving intensity at work to be in their softer and gentler and more available to help their children and their big emotions and their inner lives? And so that's the work that I do with the clients that I have. And this leads me now into, this new course that I've created, which is Optimal Performance Parenting Habits. And I'll get more into that, but I'll just take a pause here, Teresa, if there's any thoughts or questions that you want to bring forward from that.
Wow, Micheline, that was so profoundly beautiful and so incredibly moving. And I'll speak from my experience. I could self-identify in so many of those places, from being molested as a child to turning into that high-performing executive, just trying to control my world, and add the complexity of being a single mom. So I want to, first of all, thank you for sharing of yourself so deeply, courageously, because in seeing and feeling your heart, I know that everyone who's in attendance here and all those people who will be watching this later will self-identify in some way to your story. And then you laid out this framework that allows us to understand first the genesis of all this internal complexity that we live, and the formula to back out of it. And 100% I agree. It's optimal to do it with another. This is a journey that has so much nuance and has so been integrated into the fabric of our being that we do not see every opportunity to heal and grow. We simply don't. That is the design of the human condition. We need others to mirror back to us what most wants to be known and healed for us. And I want to also state something. I want to connect a dot that I saw because of who I am, and a couple of dots. One is when this high-performing mom starts to heal, or dad starts to heal themselves, not only will the fabric of their family be influenced, but my friends, their beingness in their position will transform, and transform in the absolute best way possible, because corporate control is an illusion. It is a construct to keep you held in a silo. And the moment we allow ourselves to let that go and self-express, we move into our brilliance and a more fulfilled life. So I want to add that in because that's part of my fabric. And then the second piece is, guys, I'm getting chills top to bottom. Never before in the history of the earth have we had a more powerful opportunity to step into personal power and brilliance. When Micheline talks about moving through our opportunities, know that The construct of our energy systems is supporting that to occur more quickly and with greater awareness and ease. And again, that occurs in concert with a wise mentor, such as Micheline. So, woo, girl, those are so powerful. What would you like to do? Do you want to continue to share? Because I know you've got a wealth of information. Do you want to take questions? Where do you want to take this, Micheline?
Yeah, yeah. Well, just what you said there, couple of things. So yeah, these women that I work with that come to me, and again, this is particularly around my courses that I'm offering, Optimal Performance Parenting Habits and soon to be High Performance Mothers Mastermind. These are the women that are coming to me now, and a lot of it is driven by anxiety. Their behaviors, their survivalism, they're pushing the intensity that they have in the workplace. It's coming from a place of survivalism, and that's the anxiety that's driving them. And they're successful in the corporate world because of that, highly successful. And it's what they're realizing is they're unable to connect with their children, and it's painful because they want to be successful, of course, with their children. This is whom they love deeply. And I always say this to every client I work with: I never, ever, ever, ever doubt their love of their children, ever. And all of us have acted in very unloving ways to our children. And so we have to recognize that and see that happening in real time, because those are the moments where we have to recognize, and it's painful to admit that. It's deeply painful as a mom to admit, and I can admit it. I have seen it myself over and over again raising my kids. And it is the drive that has me trying to figure this out. Oh, I got to figure this out. I got to stay in this. I have to stay with this. And that's my work in this lifetime. So once these women that I work with see what their children are offering them and the skills that they're learning in the parenting realm, it directly translates into their leadership skills. So I use the hashtag executive skills are parenting skills. Parenting skills are executive skills. We have to start realizing that the very thing that executives are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn is what mothers and fathers are wanting to teach their children. These are the same sets of skills. And I'm trained with the High Flow Coaching Collective, which is a big high performance. I'm trained with an Integral Master Coach. I'm trained as a Feminine Power Coach. I have all of this working with me, and it ultimately comes down to these are all the skills that we're all trying to learn right now in this particular time. So the other piece I want to say from that, Teresa, is I have often used the phrase, motherhood is the shortest and steepest path to enlightenment, because your child is your feedback loop. You are constantly being given a mirror to look into. And feedback, and immediate and active feedback, is a high performance tool. High performers use feedback all the time. And we got that built in with our children. How our children are doing is a feedback loop to how we are doing. And that's hard to see. That's hard to look in the mirror. And it's painful. And I've done it over and over and over again to see how I've, my own dysregulated nervous system has caused, the suffering in my own kids. And so that's the piece I wanted to just connect there. But what I loved what you just did, Teresa, is then you took it from not only their leadership skills, but then it's changing that illusion of, what did you say? Corporate, what were the words you said? Corporate
control.
Corporate control.
Yeah, and siloing people into
Yes.
what they want as opposed to utilizing
Hmm.
who they are and the
Yeah,
gifts that they bring.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for that corporate control, because it's this siloing. And again, I don't go into it's just the nature of where we are currently as a human family. Are naturally, we are at a place where we have created these constructs of separateness. Our crisis on this planet is a crisis of connection, period. That is the crisis we are all marinating in right now. And that pressure that we're all feeling, that anxiety we are all feeling, is that pressure to grow beyond, to move beyond. It is a birthing process. And just like in the womb, we are pressured to move out of a space that we don't want to move out of. We're in a uterus, we're fed, we're taken care of, we're safe, we're sound, we're warm. Who wants to leave? We are at one with the uterus, like we don't have to work for anything. And then all of a sudden, pressured, pushed out. And now we have to, figure out how to live in this very physical world. That is exact same metaphor I see for how we are currently on this planet. We are in a birthing process. The pressure is coming down, and the pressure is for us to evolve. And this evolving is a developmental process, and it's coming back to connection. Connection with self, first and foremost. Connection to Mother Nature. Connection to a source. What is our source? And if Mother Nature is our source, that is the source. Connection to one another, connection to our own sacred journeys. I have a whole other podcast I could do when I actually sat down across from the man who molested me and had a meeting with him. And I won't get into that now because it's a different story, but that was a deep process for me to go through. And I had to connect first and foremost to my sacred journey, just like my daughter. This is her sacred journey. There's nothing wrong with her. There is nothing wrong with somebody who has high anxiety. And it's not the pills out there. It's not the doctors out there. It's not the world out there that's doing something. It's how do I live with? How do I be with? How do I accept this part of me that is within me? It is my inner life. It's my inner journey. So thank you for bringing that out of me, just to name that again, because I feel that's such a powerful piece to recognize this meta crisis. And that's what I feel, that again, like I can go down into the micro, what's happening right here, right now in my world, and I can take it out to the meta, and I can bring it right back down into the little micro moments of what's happening for my clients. And so this can take me into a little bit about, optimal performance parenting habits, and really how do we as mothers, as parents, how do we find this inner self control, this inner world that is within us, that I know there's very well-meaning parenting experts out there that have the 3 simple steps, or pause and count to 10, or and they're all very well-meaning, but they are not getting to the depths of our inner life. And it's not just about taking action out there. It's about developing awareness. Awareness and action have to be happening simultaneously to be able to develop. We can't just have awareness. You can't just have action. They have to go together. And so this is the deep work that I do with my clients, which I work with clients for 6 to 9 months, and we go into this unraveling and understanding and accepting their current way of being, and building the skills of the new way of being below the psychological immune system. Now, what is a psychological immune system? We all have a physical immune system. Our physical immune system is to keep us healthy and to prevent any foreign things into our system. So our physical immune system kicks on. I might need a new heart. Even though I need a new heart to stay alive, my body is always going to try to reject that heart. So I will have to be on immune suppressant drugs for the rest of my life. Just like our psychological immune system, we want to develop, we want to change, we want to create something new in our lives. The psychological immune system says, no way, I am keeping you here and I'm keeping you safe and I'm keeping you in this space. So that when we go out and we start trying to make some changes, whoa, we snap back with resistance, with our old patterning, right? So when I'm working with clients, I'm working below the psychological immune system. And I'm working with the resistance, not against the resistance. Because this is where we get too much, comes back to the very beginning, is when we get anxiety, there's something wrong with me and I have to get rid of it. No, anxiety is our part of us. We have to learn to be with it and acknowledge it and stay with it and accept it, because it's only a part of us. So the optimal performance parenting habits, I have 10 very specific habits that I walk people through. And the main part of this system, this method, is looking at this inner compass for self-control. And these are the 4 main parts of ourselves. And I can just share, I'm looking at the time. I'm just going to share, I could talk for hours. I just want to share that these 4 components of the inner compass of self-control come from the integral theory, which is the methodology that I work with. And this is a very comprehensive, very rigorous theory. And the women that I trained with have put this into embodiment and into application. And this is what I teach and train coaches in this methodology around the world. And so the very first part of this compass is looking at the 4 areas of the 4 perspectives of reality. We all have access to 4 perspectives of reality at any given moment. You and me right now, Teresa, you have an inner life that I have no idea what's going on inside of you unless you choose to share it with me, right? You and I have an outer life. I can see you nodding your head. You can see me all moving my hands. You can see if I'm pushing my hair back. So that's my exterior. You all can see that. But you and I and Teresa in this group are building a subjectivity in this group space as well. Do I feel the groups? Do I feel people are falling asleep because I'm talking too much? Do I sense that some people are really interested, right? There's that intersubjectivity. And then we have outer subjectivity, which is, or excuse me, outer objectivity, which is the whole space that we're in. Zoom is holding this for us. So those are 4 perspectives of reality that we have access to in any given moment. And we are really not aware of a lot of those perspectives. So this inner compass of self-control, at the very center of any compass is the hub. It's the centerpiece. It is where the needle goes out. The needle goes out and the needle gets information and brings it back to the source. And this inner source is that pure essence of awareness that we all have access to. You dropped us in just by helping us in the beginning to drop into that pure awareness. And often we as parents are standing on the head of a pin. We feel like we can be blown over and thrown down and whipped around in any given moment. And so part of this inner compass of self-control is about expanding this centerpiece so that we can put our needle out and access these 4 centers, these 4 realities in any given moment. And so each of these 4 perspectives, I have archetypes. They're archetypal energies. And each one of them has a part, a practice, and a habit that we can develop. And so the very first one is the habit of compassion, self-compassion and forgiveness. And the second one is an energy, continuously looking at an energy audit. Where is my energy? How is my energy? Where is my energy going? Where does it keep getting pulled to? The next one is about consistency, the habit of consistency. We get through life through small incremental steps all the time. And how do we hold consistency creating more and more of what we want. And the fourth and final one is play. Our children know how to play, and we lose that in life. We lose that in life. So those are the four of the habits out of the 10 habits that I teach in this course. And they're based on this inner compass of self-control. And it's all about expanding that center of pure awareness so that we can come back to that place of calm and composure and stillness and balance. And so I'll just pause there because, oh my goodness, we're out of time.
Well, this has been absolutely incredible. I know I've learned so much. And so I'm so deeply grateful for what you've shared, Micheline. And I want to highlight something that's dropping in for me is this work requires courage. And you have the courage within you to step into this opportunity to create that internal landscape that you want so that your world reflects what's going on in here. And all of a sudden, everything in your world opens up to be what your heart desires and where your heart has reoriented to. So, Micheline, where can people find you? What's your website? What's your, well, whatever you want to share for communication, but
Definitely.
please tell us.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to invite everybody to my Facebook group, Parents Listening Circle. I am a professional listener. I'm realizing this, take me a while. Like I've listened to people my whole life as a counselor and now as a coach. And I want to share that knowledge and practice with parents because to be a better friend, we need to be a better listener. To be a better leader, we need to be a better listener. To be a better parent, to be a better anything, we need to be a better listener. So, Parents Listening Circle is my Facebook group. I do interviews there. I offer poetry and practices and videos, and that's where I'm just giving freely. My optimal performance parenting habits course is being offered. It's going to be in January. My website is not up, but it's coming. I will be announcing that very soon. I am creating a free like mini masterclass on love in action, how to fortify a family's foundation. And it's really in this love in action with very specific practices. That's coming very soon. If you sign up at my website, michelinegreen.com, you will be given access to that very soon. So, and then of course, all the places, LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. And yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. And I will share all of the places to find Micheline when I post this in the Soul channel on YouTube. I will also offer that I will keep the information updated so that when Micheline's course is available in January, when the free course is available, we'll make sure and update the information
Thank you.
on Soul Channel. This is important. This is important work, and I'm so deeply grateful for what you've offered today. And I know just from the comments that so many people were touched. And yes, please share this. I will make sure everybody gets it. It will be available on all my social media platforms, but YouTube is where it's going to live. Any final words or anything you want to offer?
I feel like it's important to come back to this piece of connection. This love in action, fortifying a family's foundation. We learn safety in our family unit, and whatever that family unit looks like. We learn safety in that family unit. We learn how to love in that family unit. We learn how to connect in that family unit. And so much of what we're experiencing is this lack of connection and this disconnection, and that is the crisis we're in. And so I just want to bring back that such importance of the work of connecting to ourselves as the primary source of learning, and then being able to from there connect with our children, and then from there, this is how we connect with the future that we're wanting to create.
Beautiful. Could you
Mm-hmm.
imagine what the world would look like if connection was a priority in our lives?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much, Teresa.
everyone.
And everyone. Yeah. Much love. Much love. Mm-mm.